One of the objectives in this course is to create drawings that demonstrate the basic principles of spatial illusion. By spatial illusion, we simply mean that a drawing on a flat surface can give the impression of depth as if you were looking through a window. A few lines on a piece of paper can create this illusion of space and depth. There are many ways to show spatial illusion in a drawing, but today we want to focus on linear perspective. Linear perspective is a system of creating an illusion of depth on a flat surface. The three components essential to linear perspective are parallel lines, called orthogonals, the horizon line, and a vanishing point. There are two approaches to linear perspective in drawing. Mechanical perspective, which is based on systems and geometry, uses rulers and mathematical measurement, and freehand perspective, which is based on perception and observation of forms in space. Freehand perspective is a more intuitive exploration of perspective theory and relies to a significant degree on the process of sighting to judge the rate of convergence, depth, angle, and so on. In this assignment, you'll be using the freehand drawing approach to work with perspective. We will largely be using images from film and use a loose freehand gestural method. You'll start by choosing images from the gallery located on the project page. The first two will be one-point perspective drawings. Do them in your sketchbook, one per page, and use HB and 2B pencils. Start by drawing in a loose frame that will represent the outside edges of the drawing. Make the frame the same ratio as the height to width ratio of the image you're working from. Use an HB pencil to start the drawing and work quickly using gestural light marks. Generally, a good place to start is the longest horizontal, vertical, or diagonal lines that you see, but don't overthink this part of the drawing. Work intuitively and faster than you can second guess yourself at this point. This part of the drawing is simply about looking for landmarks like the top and bottom of walls, windows, doors, furniture, or the outline of people. Make the marks as light as you can and assume that all of these lines are expendable and will be corrected as we continue on the drawing. Now that I have the rough bones of the drawing down, I'm using my pencils as sighting sticks to find the eye level and vanishing point. The tops and bottoms of walls, windows, or doors are great ways of finding where these lines are. Notice that the four orthogonal lines here all point to one spot. That spot is not only the vanishing point, but also the eye level and horizon line. I make a small dot for the vanishing point and a light horizontal line for the eye level. Now that I'm ready to refine the perspective lines of the drawing, I'm going to employ a little trick. Since I know exactly where the vanishing point is, I've tied a small piece of string to a pin and I'm sticking it right into that spot in the paper. Notice how when I put some tension on the string and line it up with the bottom or top edge of a wall, I'll get an accurate angle that I can then trace with the pencil. Since this is one-point perspective, this technique will work for the tops and bottoms of the doors and windows and pretty much anything that isn't straight up and down. Now that I have the perspective where I want it, I'm going to remove the tack and string and continue to refine the drawing. You don't have to use this method with the tack and string, but it is a useful trick in one-point perspective. Our second two sketchbook drawings will be using two-point perspective. Choose two images from the two-point perspective image gallery in this Canvas module. In your sketchbook, make one drawing each from the images you choose. Two-point perspective is used anytime you're looking at things at an angle or in a corner. In this movie still, our view is looking at the actor at an angle. The subway wall directly to the right of him will have one vanishing point, and the one to the left will have a second, different vanishing point. Use an HB pencil and start the drawing by working quickly and gesturally. Don't worry about the perspective yet. This part is about looking and recording landmarks that you see more intuitively. Look for edges of walls, doors, even the edges of the actor's suit and shoes are all good landmarks to note at this stage. Once you have the basic structure of the drawing noted, sit back and take a long look at the photo that you're working from. First, look for any architecture or furniture that will give you a clue as to where to find the orthogonal lines. The orthogonal lines will be any feature that you could theoretically draw a line across to get to a vanishing point. Here I notice that if I lined up the bottom and top of the seat and the edge of the left window, all of those lines would point to one spot. This spot would be our first vanishing point. The vanishing point also tells us where the horizon line is, as well as the exact height of the camera that was filming this scene in the movie. I now will lightly sketch in the horizon line, as well as a small dot to note the first vanishing point. I'll now go and find the second vanishing point. To find the vanishing point on the left side of the drawing, I'll again look for some orthogonal lines based on the subway seat, walls, and windows. I notice that due to the angle of this view, the orthogonal lines will eventually all converge outside of our view. This means that the second vanishing point will also be off of the page. This is a very common occurrence for one or both of the vanishing points to be off of the page in two-point perspective. Instead of literally drawing in a vanishing point like I did with the first one, I'll use my pencil to sight measure the angles I'm drawing directly. I'll hold my pencil directly up to the photo, line it up with an edge, and then still holding that angle, carefully move my hand over to the paper to check the angle. Finish the drawing using HB and 2B pencils and selectively darken lines